Okay, we're coming back into session. Let's see. We're reconvening closed session or reconvening open session at 7:05. Let's do Pledge of Allegiance led by Chris Mount Benitez.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Announcements of actions taken in closed session. E1, Government Code Section 48918, Student Discipline. Case number 2018-19-C. The board reviewed and discussed and will be taking action later in the meeting on item P1. Government Code Section 54957, Public Employee Discipline, Dismissal, Release, Reassignment. Information was received. Government Code Section 54957, Public Employee Superintendent Evaluation, Board discussed. At this time, we're moving on to I. Can I get an approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Alcala?
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on one second.
Yes, sir.
Trustee Jackson.
We'll be bringing that request for amendment to the certificated recommendations at the consent agenda.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we have a motion by Trustee Alcala and a second by Trustee Jackson for approval of the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Thank you. Passes unanimously. Let's see, communications and celebrations. J1, school report, Westfield Village Elementary School, Principal Krista Koch.
That's quick. See if it works. All right, good. Good evening, Superintendent Luna, trustees, cabinet, and community. My name is Krista Koch. I am the principal of Westfield Village, and this is my amazing assistant principal, Jaime Avalar, and we are here tonight to discuss all the amazing things that our scholars have been doing at Westfield Village. So the LCAP goal that we chose to focus in on was school climate. For our school climate goal states that students will find joy through their educational experience and will attend schools in an environment conducive for learning that are safe, healthy, nurturing, and supportive as they become independent lifelong learners. So I think you're going to have a nice glimpse of how we have advocated for that here at Westfield. So school climate, of course, there's many different things that you can implement or tackle and address to hit that particular goal, but we really wanted to hone our efforts on a three-pronged approach so that we could be very focused in implementing and changing our school culture. So the first one was build and strengthen relationships. The second is empower our students. And then third, implement restorative justice practices. So I'm going to speak about the build and strengthen relationships, how we went about empowering our students, and then Mr. Avalar is going to take over and discuss our restorative justice practices. So build and strengthen relationships. We started with our parents, right? We always know that we want to start with our community members and our parents. And some of the ways in which we were building those relationships are through our PTO meetings. We have some amazing parent classes that are happening through our homeschool liaison, the Yolo County Children Alliance that sets those up. We have coffee with the principal every month. That's one of the many ways that we build relationships with our parents. Next, we want to build relationships with our staff. So not just certificated staff, but also classified staff. So before school even started, we invited every single staff member to a team building activity. It was a whole day where we just spent time getting to know one another. It had nothing to really do with our vision or our beliefs, but just this is who we are, this is who we want to become. Let's get to know one another. And we didn't want it to be a one-stop shop, so we didn't just do one time and be done. This is something that we continually do. So every Friday, we do a Friday Flash where we highlight classified and certificated employees. I do a daily meet and greet with both my kitchen staff and my custodial staff, bright and early before anybody else gets there. And we also do, like anytime we go into classrooms with the teachers, we always leave them some type of message, right? We don't want to just go in the classroom and not give them some type of motivational feedback or take that opportunity as a coaching opportunity to work with our teachers. So we always do that as well. And we've been in classes quite a lot this year, so thank you, Amber, for that. And then last but not least, but probably, of course, my most passionate piece is building relationships with our students. So I challenged myself. I said, first year administrator, I don't care. You're going to know every single student, 438 by name by the end of the year. And you're going to be able to address every single student on your campus by name to highlight something that they are doing that is positive, right? We wanted them to see myself and Mr. Avalar as partners, not just the principals, so that it wasn't like I'm going to the principal's office as this punitive, negative aspect. I wanted them to know me as somebody they could come to, who cares about them, who loves them, nurtures them, and ultimately I have high expectations for them as well. I'm not exactly at 100% of knowing every single name, but I'm really close. I'm really close. And every day I make an effort to do just that. Seeing somebody on the playground, sit lolly, thank you for smiling, thank you for keeping your hands to yourself, thank you for saying thank you. Anytime we see Keon, you're doing a great job, you're such a rock star, thank you for making good choices. And every day, they're always so excited to see both of us, interact with them, play with them. Mr. Avalar was on the play yard just today playing games with them, and the kids absolutely love it. And so that was a big piece of us today, is to make sure we build our relationships with our students. Research shows time and time again that student-staff relationships make a difference, right? And not just a difference in how they're going to achieve in their academics, but lifelong. And really that's what this is about. We are building and growing young adults, right? These are human beings. So what can we do to help foster their growth? And I'm really proud of our entire staff. Our teachers do a fabulous job of this as well. And I'm just really proud of that aspect. So prong 2, empower our students. Speaking about what our teachers are done. We have a couple of our teachers here in the audience today, and just want to highlight them and acknowledge them because they do work hard. They work hard on building relationships themselves. But how do they empower students? Fostering growth mindset, right? One aspect we know is that we want our children to see that every life experience is an experience. It's not you fail, it's this is where you are currently and how are you going to make yourself get better. And our teachers do this. There's evidence throughout all our classrooms about how teachers are fostering this growth mindset. They set SMART goals with their students. They say, okay, here's where you are, here's where you want to go. How are we going to help you get there? And the nice thing about our teachers too is that they don't just set the goal and it's done. They set the goal and they come back to it frequently and say, okay, here's the SMART goal you set. How are you doing? Where are you at now? And using multiple points of data. So again, we have our amazing rigorous curriculum design units of study that have pre and post assessments. We have our ELD progress monitoring. We have SBAC scores, but it's more than just that. It is, how are you feeling? How are you doing? because our students come from some pretty traumatic experiences. And it's more than just those test scores. It's the whole child. And I love that. A goal without a plan is just a wish. We also implemented some student voice. So our sixth graders, we were pulling in about anywhere from 4 to 6 a month and having them sit down with me and tell me 2 different things. One, I wanted to hear what's going well at Westfield, right? What do we want to keep? So they would brainstorm all the things they want to keep. And then I say, okay, well, if you could change anything about Westfield, what would you change? And I'm so happy about this poster. It's the very first poster. And you look on there, you know, they have a couple of things that they'd like to change. But it says benches under the solar panels. Guess what? We got benches under our solar panels. Oh. And if you keep going down, it says add 7th grade. And then they crossed that out and they said, no, we don't want just 7th grade. We want middle school here at Westfield. We don't want to leave this school. And I hope you are aware or know that that is our plan at Westfield, is to eventually be a TK-8 school. And I just love that because the students are seeing their own voice being implemented. And then, it's always really cute to see that they want to be able to chew gum during the school day. We're like, well, we're not going to go that far just yet. Student council. We never had a student council at Westfield before. So I had a couple of teachers who, again, were very passionate and said, you know what, let's make this happen. Let's have them have an opportunity to have a voice, but empower themselves through an actual student council body. And it was great that some of the students that you never would expect to run for student council were the ones who were running. And, and their posters were up all over campus, and it was great to walk by and see them. Did you see my poster? Like, I saw you posted. That's awesome. Okay? And this was our first year, so we didn't do much with it just yet, but again, it's our first step in implementing this empowerment of our students. And then one of my personal favorites is that Superintendent Luna, I just really want to thank you again for inviting the principals on September 12th. She invited us to go to an equity and access workshop that was being held by Dr. Tyrone Howard. And he was there speaking to us about the prison to pipeline that is created in our school systems, and that how many of our African American boys and girls are basically failing, and what can we do as administrators to change this practice. And he turned to every single one of us in that audience. He said, what are you going to do? You have the power. You're site administrators. What are you going to do? And it just spoke to me. I was like, yeah, you know what? I hadn't been a site administrator. I've been at the district office level. And I'm like, wait. As a site administrator, you're right. So we took it to Mr. Avalar, said, hey, I'm thinking about maybe we could do something for our African-American boys. We saw that there was a need. And I spoke with Superintendent Luna, and she was like, you know what? Talk to Jerry about Kevin Bracy. See what we can do with Kevin Bracy. So we did just that. We went to our school side council, kind of explained that, we see that there is our need to have an African-American male on our campus more often than once a month to provide some mentorship for our boys. So we have Kevin Bracy coming in every single Tuesday. He came in every single Tuesday for 6 weeks, met with our 1st through 3rd grade group, which is that group right there. And I don't know if you can see it, but that picture says a lot. And then after those 6 weeks, he was able to meet with our 4th through 6th grade boys. And at the end of the year, we're going to have a little culminating activity where both groups of boys are going to come together, and we're going to invite parents so they can come as well. And some of the things that he's just working on. How do you greet somebody? He's very honest with the boys, is that, because of the color of your skin, people are going to look at you differently. So how are you going to present yourself? And he got up there and he modeled for them. This is how you shake someone's hand. No, not like that. Do it again. Look me in the eyes with some firmness. This is how you shake a hand. And then it's great because he takes them out on the playground and they'll play games and the boys get into fights, right? They get really competitive and Kevin's right there. Time out. What can we do different? And they talk about it right there in the spot while it's happening. And that's when our students struggle the most, is in the moment. And so it's just been great to see the boys grow from that opportunity. So I'm really happy about that for them. And now I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Avillard to talk about the amazing things that we've been doing with restorative justice practices.
All right, good evening, Board, Superintendent Luna, members of Cabinet. So the third part of our approach for addressing school climate does involve restorative practices. So we believe, along with providing learning opportunities, along with our great outreach team, for providing students with opportunities to learn from their mistakes, to repair relationships, coupled with learning opportunities directly linked to whatever the infraction may be. And it's all based on relationships. And I think the sunburn here is kind of telling of the amount of time we spend outside with our students, and it is making a very big impact. So we also believe in restorative practices and giving those students opportunity to learn from the mistakes and learning from what's going on, but also repairing the relationships. And we believe that the interventions must be as intense as the child's needs, individualized, but also based on a foundation of relationships. Part of our system includes positive referrals, mediation, positive referrals to the office, one-on-one time with staff, mentors on campus, a get-along group for teaching skills out on the playground, expected behavior, one-on-one time with staff members of their choice. There's a picture of our get-along group where we teach strategies, skills, but we also go out and practice them on the playground, one-on-one, and providing that immediate feedback. And then also celebrating successes. So one of the things we do is positive office referrals, and those are my favorite phone calls to make home. When I make that call and I hear the moan, it's like, no, this is great. This is what happened. We're celebrating their growth mindset, the leadership qualities they displayed. They get a certificate, special little prize from the office, announce their name to the whole school, and then that positive phone call. Along with that, we also do Leaders of the Month, so promoting students that are displaying a growth mindset or being leaders on campus for making positive choices. We have a great staff. Our teachers, our outreach, our support staff are all very dedicated on providing both academic support and social emotional support as needed, individualized student by student.
So I'm just going to wrap up here. Not too long ago, we talked about suspension data. And so I kind of wanted to pull out our suspension data and kind of highlight for you where we're at from last year in comparison to this year. So total number of suspensions, that means the student could have been suspended multiple times in 2017 and 18. We had 51 by the end of the year, which was actually a difference from the year previous to that. Unduplicated suspensions, so again, we only counted the student one time. If they were suspended, they weren't counted again if they had multiple. And then we looked at total number of days of instructional impact that was in 2017 and 18. You can see it was 61. So as we approach May, and we're kind of coming around that last curve, rounding the base for home, currently our total number of suspensions sit at 26. Our unduplicated suspensions are 17. Total number of days is 44, which looks a little heavy, but I'll be very honest with you, we had two pretty extreme suspensions that we had to use the maximum amount of days. And so that's why that number is a little bit higher than we'd like it to be, but just complete transparency. But I think you can see that the numbers don't lie. It's starting to work, and I anticipate that this is going to continue to get better year after year after year. Last but not least, I wanted to show Marco. So as I mentioned, we were doing some work with Kevin Bracy, and Kevin is just amazing. And this student showed up one day with his own Kevin Bracy shirt that he made. And it's not a Kevin Bracy shirt, it's a Marco shirt. That's why there's a big M on the front for Marco. And on the back, it's one of Kevin Bracy's sayings. I am awesome. I am brilliant. And I am wonderful, marvelous. I reach for your dreams. So again, I just wanted to end with that because we just wanted to show where our students or our amazing scholars at Westfield are at currently. So thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions or comments or anything?
Comments. I just, thank you. I just love what you're doing. I mean, I feel that energy up here. And I just think it's so important that, you know, you're creating this positive atmosphere with all the staff, and the students feel it. They really watch how you interact with other adults, you know, at the school. I love that you're doing the student council. I think that's so important. They're learning empowerment, democracy. You know, this is going to make them civically engaged individuals. They're going to learn that. And, you know, I love that you have Mr. Bracy over there. I was going to say, I remember someone saying that the greatest thing you can do for young men is to teach them to respect women and others, you know? And that's what I'm seeing here. So I just want to thank you so much. It's fantastic.
Trustee Wong, did you want to say something?
No, I'm just always been impressed with everything that's been happening at Westfield Village. It's always been, the moment I stepped on campus years ago, it's a really unique community there, and the data's there and it shows it, and I just love visiting. Thank you for all that you do and all that the teachers do, and just the wonderful community that you built there.
Thank you very much. We've seen marked improvements since you've been there, so we really do appreciate the culture and the efforts that you've made as well, your team as well. Mm-hmm. Thank you. All right. Thank you. All right, now it's time for student reports, and our student board member from River City High School, Macy Whitehead.
Thank you. So starting with River City, the academic assembly was yesterday, and not a lot of people showed up, as in like students didn't come, which was okay because we haven't done it in a while, but it was just okay. And the showcase and open house was also yesterday, and a lot of people came to that. So the assembly was at 5, and then the showcase started at 6. So that's when everyone from the assembly was supposed to leave to come to the showcase, which didn't really happen. Just people came for the showcase, and the freshman class made over $100 with their samosas and face painting. And then the dance classes performed, and their dance show is on May 9th and 10th, and would love for everyone to attend. And leadership right now is working on the Move Up Rally and Festival, which is Greece theme. For YOLO, over spring break, they had their spring handball tournament, and YOLO is conducting SBAC testing this week. Also, the career and college fair planned for May 2nd from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. For Washington Middle, their first ever picnic day was on April 12th, and it was a huge success and a great way to start off spring break. Thanks again to the WUSD Food Services for helping make it possible. Marty Sella from Sac City College Transfer Center spoke with our seniors before break to help lay out their options for their post-secondary education. Juniors are gearing up for the CASP testing on May 1st and 2nd by reviewing their English scores. During break, the Panther Andrea Cisneros competed at the USA Karate USA Open and Junior International Cup in Las Vegas and placed third place 16 to 17 female and second place 16 to 17 female. And that's all.
Great job.
Thank you.
Great job, Macy. And now, let's see, WSTA, Don Stoffer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I hope everybody had a great break. I know in my case, I got a much-needed breather. Of course, since Monday, it's been much different and once more into the breach. But here we are. We've got a horizon of about 6 weeks from now. I'd like to thank Jerry Smith at Student Services. He ordered paper copies of that guidebook on dealing with behavioral issues that we've discussed at the school board meeting a couple of times. and those have now been distributed to the sites. And I believe that this is going to help us work together as a staff as we deal with ongoing student issues. So thank you again, Jerry. Our negotiations team will be meeting the first week of May, and we're hopeful that we'll be able to make quick work of our outstanding articles. On May 22nd, there will be an event and rally at the state capitol to advocate for more funding for education. I know I'm going to be there. Many from our association will be there, and I'm hoping you can attend as well. And with that, hope you guys have a great evening and take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Now K3, CSEA report. Daniel Gandara, come on down.
Good evening. CSEA is also putting together a training for child conflict, and I'm looking more into that, and I'll be bringing that to a HR meeting and going further into that for paraeducators and in classrooms.
Good.
And negotiations, we met last Monday, or this past Monday, our second meeting. We TA'd 2 articles and a MOU. Hopefully we meet again on the 9th of May and we could finish this up, hopefully. And that's all I got for today. Thank you. You guys have a good evening.
Great, thank you, Daniel. All right, let's see. Right now we're going to public comments. L, let me read the disclaimer that I have to read. At this time, members of the public may address the board on the topics of our board agenda in addition to topics that are under the jurisdiction of the board and are not on the agenda. Although the board, by law, may not take action at this meeting, the board may limit the total time for public comment on any topic to 20 minutes unless it chooses to waive the item limit for a particular item. Individual speakers may be limited to 3 minutes to comment on any topic. Public comments consisting of individual charges, complaints, or derogatory remarks about any district employee are requested to be submitted in writing to the administration in accordance with the district complaint procedure. We do recognize that a lot of people commenting before the board and the audience and the people watching at home on television is a nerve-wracking experience. So to try to make that as easy as possible, we do ask that there not be any applause or booing or catcalling or other demonstrations to maintain a civil discourse here in the chamber. The board respects the rights of members of the public to speak to us regarding matters on the agenda and other matters within the jurisdiction of the board. However, it's important for members of the public to recognize that comments regarding students other than the speaker's own children made during a public board meeting may be legally actionable as a violation of student privacy. Both state and federal law prohibit the board and others from discussing confidential student information in open session. To this end, be advised that if you reference a student's name other than your own student, you will be out of order and your comments may not be protected by the privileges that protect public speech. You could be found liable for such comments in legal proceedings. Furthermore, it is important for the public to understand that negative or derogatory comments made against district employees or others, even those made in a public board meeting, may be actionable civil defamation. As such, the board reminds the public that the district has existing board policies that allows the public to lodge a complaint against a district employee. This policy provides a comprehensive procedure for reviewing and responding to public complaints. This process provides a more thorough opportunity to be heard than is allowed under the open meeting law that governs this meeting. And having said that, let's see. Can we have Danny Langford come up?
Hi again. Being I asked before you went into closed session about if you were using the written criteria your bylaws require when you're evaluating the superintendent, and your report out was that you had discussion, did you use that criteria? If not, that's in violation of your bylaws and the Brown Act. I've never heard an evaluation reported out as just a board discussion. Again, I request in writing the written criteria by which you evaluate the superintendent as called for in your bylaws. As I've stated before, and even before you went into closed session, I am by law allowed to have that criteria, and you, any of you up there, have the right under the Brown Act to direct staff to give that information to me, and I'm asking for that. I have in the past submitted a public records request, and no, I have not followed up when it was not met, because I've had a few things going on in my life. I also would like to say, hope I'm not interrupting anything, the 2x2 meeting with the county that my husband and I both attended, and I know Sarah, you were there, and Jackie, you were there as well, even though she's not here. We need a little picture of her or something in her chair. I was pleasantly surprised to hear about the sort resources that could possibly be supplied to our district, especially when it comes to suicide prevention. My own father committed suicide 23 years ago, so that is something that's very near and dear to my heart, especially when it affects our children. And there are so many children that I know our family has personally helped over the years that have had suicidal issues, because we do have such different demographics than most districts have. So I'm very happy to hear about that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. David Kinney.
Good evening. I'm here as a father of a fifth grader at Stonegate Elementary School. And I myself went back to school recently at Sac City College. So I was given a research paper to write, and the topic I picked was human trafficking, and chose the topic after my daughter was playing a game, Roblox. Again, she's 11 years old, and explained to me how she had been helping another kid learn how to play the game, and it was a stranger, so concerned me. So I wanted to address the board. I'm not sure, I wasn't able to find any information on AB 1227 or how the school district is implementing it, but I wanted to advocate or that the human trafficking education start earlier than 7th grade as required by AB 1227. I'm not sure if the board can do that outside of the state laws, but that's what I'm advocating for my school paper. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Excuse me, sir, if you have anything that you wanted to turn in to the superintendent? I do. Okay. Yeah, please hand it to the superintendent. Thank you. I thought that was just his notes he was reading from. Okay. Moving on. We are now on to the consent agenda. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. This is M1. I missed the update on adult education programs. Andy Parsons, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. I'm blind.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Vice President Pizzotti, and President Wong, and community and cabinet members. Tonight I am presenting to the board an update on adult education as requested. Tonight's presentation is going to focus on 6 items: an overview of the current programs, 2018-19 enrollment figures, a needs assessment that we did during the month of March, recommendations, looking at our budget for next year, and then next steps. And just so the board and the community knows, we basically have 4 different programs. The first is English as a Second Language, which goal is to prepare students to better access their communities, transition to post-secondary or training and or gain employment. Our second program is Adult Basic Secondary Education, and the goal there is to support individuals build their basic education, academic skills, or to complete their high school diploma or equivalency. The third program is Career and Technical Education. The goal here is to provide short-term industry-certified training in a particular industry sector. And the fourth program is apprenticeship, which is the goal is the workforce preparation program, and we partner with the Northern California Construction Training, or NCCT, and that's to offer adults short-term construction training and certification. So the board is aware, the enrollment for 18-19, as you can see, we were at Bright College and Career Training Center. We had 89 adults. YOLO Education Center, we had 370. And Elkhorn K-8, we had 38, which focused primarily on ESL students. As I said, we did a needs assessment by looking at, we did both electronic through our Constant Contact, as well as hard copies, handed them to all current adult ed students, as well as at the 7 school sites. And we got 30 responses on the online survey, and we got 65 responses on our hard copies. Survey summary, so you're aware, the first one kind of surprised me because 50% of our adults that responded have kids in our district. 50% do not, so they live in our community but do not have kids enrolled. Their primary interest in continuing their education had to do with personal interest, career enhancement, and college and career readiness. Educational goals, you can see there was high school diploma, CTE, 2 to 4 year college degree, or to learn English or get a better job. Additional survey results is we asked how can we support you in your 2 to 4 year programs. They said they wanted us to offer more college level reading and writing and high school diploma so that they can start their 2 to 4 year careers. And if they chose personal interest, we were asking them, how can we support you with that? And it was ESL, computer applications, and college and career readiness. I'm sorry, career technical education. Additionally, we asked what was the convenient locations. It was by far YOLO, Bright, and Elkhorn that we currently do. We got several responses, 12 out of the 90, which was Stonegate and River City. So we did not get a lot of responses. One of the reasons for that could be that people are used to what we currently do, which is across the street from the district office at YOLO High School, Bright College and Career Training Center, and over at Elkhorn. And we asked, what is it you need the most? And they said a counselor. By far, that just kept coming up. And so recommendations. Facilities, we're looking at using Bright Career College Training Center for some of our CTE programs, primarily construction with NCCT. And what we do is we have in the morning, starting at 7 o'clock, we have our adult ed portion of the NCCT, and then in the afternoon we have River City High School students that come over. So NCCT does 50% adult ed and 50% our students. And Elkhorn, and because there's a lot of parents that still want us to offer at Elkhorn, and for ESL, multi-level classes, and then YOLO, in which we're intending on doing ESL, citizen preparation, high school diploma, and test prep for the GED and the high set. I need to tell the board that this is all contingent upon registration figures in July when students register. It is our intention on adding everything that we currently do on the registration to see if there are additional classes that we can offer both at YOLO and we're not going to offer too much at Bright, and the reason is we have middle college going over there. We really want to focus on River City and River City primarily, but also the middle college. So we don't want to offer core programs over there for the next year. Recommendations. What we are recommending is to bring back 2.0 FTE. That was in part of the budget reduction. Currently, we have 5.13 FTE doing the programs, and so that 2.0 may be increased depending on the registrations that we get in July. And I meet with all the adult ed teachers, not next week, but the following Monday. They have an adult ed staff meeting that I'll discuss all this with them. Because like I said, we do have currently 5.13, but I'm recommending only because of the surveys that we start off with 2.0 until I get the registration numbers. Classified staff, 0.25 FTE. 0.25 FTE is primarily responsible for customer service and for testing pre and post. Counselor, 0.50. We have had an adult ed counselor in the past that was over at Bright. We did not have one this current year. The reason I'm saying that it's new, on the consent agenda, there is a job description. We have never had in the history of our district ever had a board-approved job description for an adult ed counselor, which in a way is okay for me because in 2013, adult ed changed their funding stream, their model of using consortiums and things like that. So it allowed me to create a job description that is aligned to the current regs. Lastly, administrative oversight, and I need to stress this is not a new administrator. This is common to put into the budget for Carrick, which I'll go over in just a second, because we have to look at accountability and compliance issues, and we have to have an administrator, someone with administrative credentials, such as myself, in order to be a voting member of Carrick. And that's why it says administrative oversight. In order, a third of that salary will be picked up by the grant. And so here is the California Adult Education Regional Consortium, or Carrick, and the budget. This is the bulk of our adult education money, which is $369,000 and $164. And you can see how it's broken out there with exact figures, as close as we could get at this time, in order to make sure that there is no money there's no general fund encroachment. It is completely paid out of our Carrick funds. And so this continues some of our budget analysis, and a lot of this is from this year as well, because we wanted to make sure that we had plenty of money. I did not point out that part. Is you can see that under part-time contracted teachers, there's $82,000 allocated. That can go up to the 5.13 that I was discussing earlier if we needed to fully staff the adult ed program. Therefore, like I said, it does not encroach on the general fund. Next steps. As I said, adult education is not encroaching on the general fund. Primarily Carrick funds, WIOA, CalWorks, et cetera, are outcome-based. And just so you know what that means, it's basically for workforce development where students need to take two different courses, for example, ESL and a CTE program. It's called literacy and workforce development. So they're working on their English skills and they're working on a certification program. And we don't know how many students are actually going to be doing that. For this year, we received about $135,000 for those types of programs. And so we can't estimate that yet until we have registration figures. 3, I'm requesting to recall 2 FTE needed for teaching adult ed courses next year based on current survey results. However, once we start, I suspect there's going to be a lot more than 90 adults that actually want to partake in adult ed, and I can update the board this summer or in the fall exactly what classes are being run. And 4, an additional 0.5 FTE of an adult education counselor to coordinate the transcripts, provide career counseling, and support registration for all adult participants.
Great. Hang on one second, Assistant Superintendent Parsons. We have one public comment, okay?
Sure. Yep.
Danny Langford, please.
Okay, I have some questions. How are these sent out? Why weren't they sent out? I know he answered part of that, but why weren't they sent out community-wide? Why are we just going back to people that are already in the program? Because maybe there's other adults in the community that would like to participate in this. We're hiring positions, yet we cut positions. You cut the program not that long ago, so I don't understand how it's been reconfigured. Many of us stood up here and said, it's not encroaching on the general fund. Why is it under the cuts at all? We have somebody, I believe, that's currently, that we cut, that has an administrative credential that's working in this position. It makes no sense to me. Why are we not keeping the current staff? Will they be on campuses when there's younger kids at the same time? I know you said morning and then the River City's going to be in their afternoon, but are they going to be fingerprinted like other adults that have to go on our campuses that have younger students? And where are we going to have extra security because they're adults? And I'm all about adult ed, but they're adults. Why weren't, okay, I already asked about the citywide thing, sorry. You're bringing back positions that many were let go and cut, and yet now we have the dollars, and some of the people that we cut helped get us a lot of the money that we have now in the program. So I have a lot of concerns. I know I'm not alone. Let me make sure I got all my notes here. I've got 1:20 left, so. Again, the survey situation, if we're not doing it community-wide, I don't know why we're not doing that. Whether it's in the newspaper, because that's paper, or online, because some people are online. But I think we would have gotten a lot more response. Anyway, I do have huge concerns, though, about them being on the same campuses with younger children. And I'm very concerned that you cut this program, cut people's jobs, cut positions of longtime employees. Again, some that have administrative credentials. So why are we not bringing them back? Because you said if we found the money for these programs, those people would still have their jobs. It's weird to us, some of us. Bye. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Now let's bring it back to the board. Do we have any questions or comments from the board? Norma?
Yeah, I have some questions, Andy.
Yes.
Security, as a public member asked, and I have the same question also. Are we having our students fingerprinted since they are adults and they're going to be on the Bright campus?
No, they're not. And if you know the configuration of the campus itself, the NCCT is away from students. They're not there at the same time. Okay. They're over there. So it's, no, they're not.
Okay. Do we have a child care for the NCC students like we do, the trade students as we do for the ESL over at the other schools?
There hasn't, that's a great question. There hasn't been the need for it, though I can look into that if there is a need.
Okay. And how much more do we have now in terms of money? It looks like an additional $12,000 in our CAREC budget
From this current year. Well, we do get a 3% COLA on top of that, so that probably accounts for that, but I can check that as well.
Okay. And I noticed one of the positions had previously, I think in 16, 17, you sort of outlined it, had been a counseling position, and then it was made into a program specialist position?
No.
And now it's back again into a counseling position?
Actually, the counselor that was the adult ed counselor was transferred, wanted the full-time position over at Yolo High School. Okay. And so he went from an adult ed counselor to a full-time counselor over at Yolo High School.
Okay, so the current position, the program specialist that we currently have, is that being converted into the counseling position that we now have?
It is not the same classification. So no, a program specialist doesn't go to a counseling position because we look for someone with a PPS credential who understands how to read transcripts and do that kind of work. And so no, it'd be someone with a PPS.
Okay. And then just referring to the 35% admin for 45,500, what is that?
What that
What's that
is,
position?
there's a couple reasons we need to be stated as an admin position. Number one, it's being paid out of Carrick funds, and to be a voting member of Carrick, you have to have an admin credential. It's really common, you look at all our grants, whether it be CTEG or whatever CTE grants, it usually has administration in that because we have one of our current employees that will all of a sudden be doing work for adult ed. Therefore, it's only right that adult ed funds pay for that and not general fund.
Right. So there's someone currently in the position, or is this a position that's being created?
This is, we do not have an adult ed counselor right now. We had one last year, but like I said, I'm calling it new because we never had a job description for an adult ed counselor, and that's on consent agenda tonight.
And real quickly, I think, since there are concerns that perhaps we're not reaching more of our demographic out there, it would probably be, like newsletter might be something that we may explore next time,
Okay.
to really promote our programs.
Absolutely.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Trustee Jackson?
I have just a couple questions. As far as, the administrative oversight, is there someone currently available that is going to fill that role, or is that a role that's going to have to be hired out?
We are not hiring any new employees. We're currently identifying who and what that's going to be. Right now, I'm doing it, because there is a lot of compliance and accountability, especially in April and June, and so I'm doing that currently. And as we're exploring our options, then we will be asking someone else to do that, an administrative role, and be paying some of that salary so it saves on the general fund.
Okay, is there someone that currently in the district that could fill that role that may have been even possibly even laid off in another capacity?
That is what we're looking at right now. Okay. So the answer is yes.
Okay. And for the other positions that are listed as well, are there any of these positions that can be brought back from positions that were previously eliminated?
Absolutely. That is what the legal requirements are, is to bring back teachers that we have currently laid off because they have first right as far as seniority. In fact, I met with one of our full-time FTEs who's down in San Diego right now at the Adult Education California Conference. Had a long talk with her, and she's really excited to be able to come back. So I'll be talking to Assistant Superintendent Gonzalez to start that process.
Okay. And then one last thing that kind of just stood out to me is that, and if I'm not reading this correctly, please correct me, but 2017-18 at the Bright Career and College Training, we had 260 participants, is that correct?
I believe so.
And then for this year, it's down to 89?
There have been a lot of issues. I was over at, I know we've talked about competition in the adult ed world in West Sac, but it's actually more than that. I go to the Carrick meetings now, so I hear the entire region of how they're doing, and one of the primary reasons adult ed is down is because of our economy. When the economy is good, people have jobs. And when the economy is not good, people are going back to school. So all of our region is down with their outcome-based education.
And are there, do we have efforts in place to try and bolster these enrollment numbers for upcoming years?
Yes, but it's going to be much more focused over at YOLO and Elkhorn, except for the CTE programs that we're going to have over at Bright. And like I said, the reason for that is because we have middle college moving over to Bright, and we have our construction finishing up, and so we want to really focus on that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Trustee Kirby Gonzalez?
Thank you. Can you or maybe Yurko speak to some of the outreach that was done in terms of the surveys or way that we had information from the community?
Absolutely.
Because I know I looked at some of those and saw them.
The paper copies that are, for example, at our, are you going to take this? Sure. We have our online that Mr. Gonzalez did with Constant Contact, and then I'll just do the hard copies really fast. What we did was I distributed them at our educational leadership meeting so that the principals had them to make copies on their desk. They were to be turned in to my assistant, Connie. And so that was the primary way, but then also when Renee was still with us, I used her to get to our current students and our students in the northern end of the campus.
Good evening, trustees. So constant contact tends to be a buzzword that we like to use, but we tend to use a blanket approach when we communicate out to our community here in West Sacramento. So if you go onto our homepage for Washington Unified, there's an announcements feed right front and center there. If you scroll down to March 21st, you'll also see an announcement there that's translatable into Russian and Spanish and any language that you actually prefer as an audience or a reader. Both links were actually put up there for the adult education survey as well as the child services after school care survey as well. Sorry, I got a little tongue-tied. One of the other things that we did was we blasted it on social media as well, both on Twitter and Facebook. We did include Constant Contact as well, but we also sent out an Aries communication, which actually has about 17,000 email addresses in West Sacramento. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you for that. My next piece, I appreciated you going over the administration and what that 33% was. And so just for clarification, if this is somebody like yourself who is taking on this added responsibility, then some of your salary, rather than coming out of the general fund, is coming from this position, correct?
That would be correct.
Thank you. And I know in here too, it talks about no longer not encroaching on the general fund. Can just very briefly, what was happening in terms of the general fund earlier? Was it encroaching on the general fund?
Yes, but it was primarily around facility upkeep. But also with Ms. Collins' salary, there was some of that was coming out of general fund.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Yes. And then I think in terms of in an ideal world, we wouldn't have some of these budget constraints and have to have some of these conversations we've had. So thank you very much for the outreach that's happened, for the work that you've done on this, and the communication. And something to be conscious of is we need to balance keeping, of course, our students on campuses safe, and of course, adult education, our students as well. But I also know that if they are in a facility where they are not coming onto a campus, I think we need to think too about when there are times where we do not need to do that fingerprinting requirement. I'm a big proponent of fingerprinting, but if there is a side gate or they're going somewhere else, because we serve everyone, whether they're documented or not documented, and I don't want to have any barriers if there's a way to make sure that that's happening. So just as something for us to think about of why that might be an issue for some people. Thank you.
Thank you. President Wong, did you have anything that you wanted to add since you're not like physically in front of us?
No, I appreciate all the questions.
All right, thank you. Trustee Jackson had one more question.
Something that that's come up that I was aware of, and that I think it's something that another way of outreach that we could possibly use is that if I'm not incorrect, if I am, please correct me, is that I believe that if we gave certain types of mailers to, I believe it's PG&E, that they would include that in people's bills. So that way that would be another way to reach virtually every person in the district from no cost from us, besides the printing of the flyers or whatever, to be included in people's PG&E bills as a way to kind of spread the word about different programs and different things that we have that are available at very minimal cost.
Thank you for that. And I'd also like to clarify that the outreach that we did had to do with the survey itself to get a pulse on what our community really wants, what areas, what elementary schools could be used and things like that. The outreach plan that Yorgos and I have to go forward as far as advertising adult ed programs, that's a totally different thing. We have not started that yet. So I just wanted to point that out, that the point that we were doing before was just trying to get a survey to as many residents as we can to get a pulse of what what our community would like in our adult ed program.
Yeah, but even with the survey, if next time we have a survey that needs to go out, that may
That's
be
a
a
good
good
idea.
way to kind of get it to everyone, because I don't know.
Absolutely.
I mean, granted, I got solar, but I still get a PG&E bill.
Right. All right.
It ain't pretty.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very much.
I do have one more question, Andy. Actually, just two. I like the recommendations everyone's making, and churches, sometimes, if, we have someone go make a presentation. I know we've had them done by other schools. They come over to Holy Cross, and tell us what they have. It'd be great if we could
Right.
have someone come out and, announce our adult ed program. Someone raised, Trustee Gonzalez, Kirby Gonzalez, made a very important statement about the concerns that some parents may have if they're undocumented. Do we require folks to be fingerprinted if they're helping with their children, in the schools and stuff? And what is the agreement that we have with West Sac? Is there any?
I would probably defer to our Assistant Superintendent Gonzalez, who's rather new, so I'm not sure if she has an answer to that or not. But we do have a...
Broad strokes. I mean, I can get a little bit more clarity of what we do here in the district, but broad strokes, if a parent wants to volunteer in the classroom, they do not need to have the fingerprints done.
Thank
However,
you. Microphone right
I'm
here.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
So broad strokes, they do not need to be fingerprinted if they're going to volunteer on a day-to-day. But if they're going to go for an extended period of time, then yes, we would need to have some clearance. But I'll get some more clarity and provide that through the superintendent and have that sent off for you.
Yeah, because we certainly want parent involvement and all.
Absolutely.
I would hate for something like that, to prohibit that. Thank you.
To add further clarification, if you recall, we have an action item in our LCAP to support the processing and the payment of the fingerprinting, and that's all handled through HR. So it's something that we made a priority based on stakeholder input to support our parents getting in the classrooms.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Now we are up to N, action for the consent agenda. Do you want to say anything you want to add, Superintendent Luna?
Yes, thank you, Vice President Pizzotti. This evening, the district is going to bring an amended certificated personnel recommendation, and you have a copy of that already. There's an added retirement resignation, and the public also has some copies here. So we're going to add the revised certificated recommendations.
Thank you. And with that, can I get a motion to accept the consent agenda? Jackie, so moved by Jackie.
Oh, second. Second.
Second by Trustee Alcala. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And with that, we have Superintendent Luna. Would you like to introduce our new principals?
Thank you, Vice President Pizzotti, Board of Trustees. At this time, I would like to proudly introduce our new principals for school year 2019-20 so that you know who they are. We're very excited at the potential of what's going to happen next year. First, I'd like to begin with a person who is no stranger to all of us. This is Kristen Rodriguez. Kristen is here with her husband. I don't know, maybe we should stand, yeah. Then that way people know who you are. Thank you. Just a little bit about Kristen. She is going to be assigned as the co-principal at Riverbank Elementary School, the home of the Otters. Mrs. Rodriguez received her bachelor's in history and teaching with 2 minors as well in PE and German from Brigham Young University. She received her master's in educational leadership from CSU Fullerton. She has taught German and World Studies in Granite School District in Utah. She's been the assistant principal of K-8 and middle schools for 6 years in Westminster, California. She has been assistant principal at River City High School for the past 7 years. She's also served as our summer school principal at River City. Just so that you know, in our background checking, I'd like to quote a few comments about Kristen. Quote, Kristen Rodriguez continues to be an outstanding educator for Washington Unified. Her skills, devotion to students, her work ethic have made a huge impact with our students and staff. Quote, she is a gifted educator and quality person. When asked to complete a task in any of her many roles, Mrs. Rodriguez always comes through in flying colors, consistently going above the call of duty to present the finest product possible. She is the kind of person who sees a problem, works through the different options for successful change, and then puts that plan into action until it comes to fruition. We welcome Kristen Rodriguez as our principal. We'd like to now introduce her colleague, who will also be co-principal at Riverbank Elementary School, home of the Otters. She is no stranger to us, Belinda Rabb-Patterson. Belinda received her bachelor's in sociology from UC Davis. She received her master's in education administration and supervision from University of Phoenix, and she actually does speak Spanish. She has been a teacher at Bridgeway Island School for 10 years. She has been a BITSA support provider for 7 years. And she has been assistant principal both at Bridgeway Island and Stonegate Schools for the past 4 years. Here's some things that people have said about Belinda in her references. Belinda is an exemplary teacher and leader who has developed the instructional leadership skills through her experience supporting teachers. She knows firsthand what effective instruction in the classroom is about and how to support teachers who are new to the profession or are struggling. Belinda's strongest asset is her overall leadership quality of professionalism. She can make tough decisions when she has to. She has the staff's respect because she is willing to work alongside them in all circumstances. And we welcome Belinda Rabb-Patterson as our new principal. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you our new principal for Bridgeway Island School, the home of the Bees, Dr. Evelyn Bothico. Dr. Bothico received her bachelor's in psychology from CSU Sacramento. She received her master's in urban education from also CSU Sacramento, and she received her doctorate in education leadership from UC Davis. She's been a teacher and literacy coordinator in Natomas Unified. She's been principal for 13 years in Sac City Unified. Currently, she serves as a district office administrator for the past 5 years in San Lorenzo Unified School District. Some of the work on that is coordinator of parent and family engagement, overseeing Title I programs and federal program monitoring, which we know is a huge issue in itself. And she has done oversight of instructional programs and assessment. Here's what some of her references said about her. As a superintendent and previously a director of secondary education, rarely have I encountered an administrator who provides her staff and students with support and encouragement while also emphasizing rigorous academic and behavioral expectations. The drive and creativity to inspire her students to not only master the skills needed, but to fundamentally understand the underlying concepts of the discipline is unparalleled. We welcome Dr. Evelyn Bothico to Washington Unified School District. And her daughter will be graduating from River City High School this year. Lastly, we'd like to welcome aboard a new principal, serving as co-principal with Stacy Faulkner at Westmar Oaks School, home of the Dragons, Dr. Juan Salas. Dr. Salas received his bachelor's in business administration from University of California, Riverside. He received his master's in educational leadership and policy from CSU Sacramento. He received his doctorate in education leadership from Concordia University, Irvine. He is biliterate in Spanish. Dr. Salas has been a middle school and high school teacher, serving 9 years in Dixon and Riverside, California. Dr. Salas also served as a teacher on special assignment for curriculum and instruction in Dixon Unified. He was assistant principal for 4 years in Stockton Unified School District. He's been the principal for 6 years in Stockton Unified School District with the International Baccalaureate Program for grades 6 through 8 on his high school campus. Here is what some of his references say. Dr. Salas is open-minded and accessible, serving as a liaison between the district and the community. He is excellent at utilizing the resources at his disposal to get the job done and forward the initiatives he is working on. He genuinely cares about the success of students, his colleagues, and the organization. He has proven his ability to create academic growth and sustained improvement in spite of adverse situations. He embodies leadership, improvement, and data-driven decision-making. His expertise is evident and his sustainability impressive. We welcome aboard Dr. Juan Salas to Washington Unified. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Superintendent Luna. I want to congratulate all the principals that are being hired on, and thank you for coming here tonight, and welcome your families welcome to your families to our board meeting. I just have a quick word for Dr. Bafico. I'm so sorry you have 3 parents that are going to be at your school next year. So we try to stay out of your hair, but nonetheless, I'm so sorry. That's all I can say. Moving right along. Public hearings. We have none at this time. Action items. Okay. Action item P1. Board action on Government Code Section 48918. Student discipline. Case number 1819C. The board discussed and reviewed the student discipline in closed session. Do we have a motion to approve the recommendation or the recommended action?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay. So moved by Trustee Alcala, seconded by Trustee Kirby Gonzalez. Let's see, is this a roll call or is it a, okay. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Abstaining? You said aye. Trustee Wong?
I said aye.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't hear you. Thank you. Motion carries.
It's a slightly amended recommendation. I didn't hear that.
Yes, it is slightly amended. Okay, P2. Approval of resolution number 1819-27, recognition of California Day of the Teacher, May 8th, 2019. Let's see, can I get a motion on that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
So the 2 teachers. Motion by Trustee Jackson, seconded by Trustee Kirby Gonzalez. This is a roll call vote. So, President Wong.
Aye.
Trustee Alcala.
Aye.
Trustee Kirby Gonzalez.
Aye.
Trustee Jackson.
Aye.
And I too vote aye. So it passes 5-0. Do we want to read the resolution? Does anybody want to read?
I think we have one of our teachers read it.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
You read it. I don't have it.
You don't have it with you?
Sorry.
I can pull it up. My computer isn't working,
I have
but I
it
have a
here.
hard copy
You got
right
yours?
here.
Mine not working.
And the whereases are there.
You got glasses. Or you may not be able to see that.
Oh, good Lord. I have glasses, but not that strong, though.
Okay, I'll read it.
Yeah, that's tiny.
No,
I
it's gotta
can
be
read
a
it.
teacher. It's gotta be a teacher.
This one is the next one.
This is tough.
Teacher's gotta read that. Okay, go ahead. Trustee Kirby Gonzalez, if you want. Oh, Trustee Jackson.
You realize this is tiny print, right?
That's why I'm not reading it.
I mean, I have my glasses on, and I still can. Yeah, let me see yours. Okay, that's a little better. Don't judge me because they're pink. They're not mine. Okay, whereas by nature, California teachers are proven leaders in bringing in innovative practices and creativity into their classrooms every day, and whereas California teachers may have many extraordinary skills that they pull from to reach and teach students, and whereas California teachers fill many roles as listeners, explorers, role models, motivators, and mentors, and whereas California teachers work to open students' minds to ideas, knowledge, and dreams, and whereas California teachers have protected and given their lives for their students, and whereas California has produced the thinkers, the scientists, the inventors, the technicians, and the engineers that have led our state to become the 8th largest economy in the world, and whereas California teachers continue to influence us long after our school days are only memories, and whereas California teachers advocate for and currently provide the public education all students deserve, and whereas California owes much of its success to its public schools, colleges, and universities, and that produce scholars, thinkers, and an educated workforce, and whereas the theme of the 37th Annual California Day of the Teacher on May 8th is California Teachers, great teaching is never forgotten. Now, therefore, I, even though I'm not her, Jackie Wong, serving as president of the Washington Unified School Board of Education, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, May 8th, 2018 as California Day of the Teacher. I urge all citizens to observe this day by taking time to remember and honor those who give the gift of knowledge through teaching. Passed and adopted by the Washington School District Board of Education on this 25th day of April, 2019.
Good. All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Trustee Jackson. Thank you for my glasses back. We'll move on to P3. Let's see. Action for approval of resolution number 1819-28, recognition of Classified School Employees Week, May 19th through the 25th, 2019. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I move.
Second?
Moved by President Wong, seconded by Trustee Kirby Gonzalez. We'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Alcala?
Aye.
Trustee Kirby Gonzalez?
Aye.
Trustee Jackson?
Aye.
I too vote aye. President Wong?
Aye.
Thank you. And Trustee Kirby Gonzalez, can I get you to read this resolution for us, please?
Okay. Washington Unified School District Board of Education Resolution Number 1819-28, recognition of Classified School Employee Week, May 19th, 25th, 2019. Whereas Education Code Section 45460 designates the third full week in May as Classified School Employee Week to recognize the outstanding contributions of our classified school employees. And whereas classified school employees are instrumental to the success of the education programs, and whereas classified school employees are greatly responsible for maintaining the exceptional level of service that benefits the entire educational community. And whereas classified school employees provide valuable instructional and support services to the schools and students in the Washington Unified School District. And whereas the state of California has declared the third week of May as Classified School Employee Week since 1986 to recognize the important role classified professionals play in the education of students. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Washington Unified School Board hereby recognize and extend their sincere appreciation and commendation to the classified school employees and wish to honor their contribution to quality education and declare the week of May 19th to 25th, 2019 as Classified School Employees Week. Passed and adopted by the Washington School District Board of Education on this 25th day of April 2019. Unanimously.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to board governance. Q, there is none. R, board and superintendent comments. Let's see. Trustee, do you want to? Yeah, that's probably a good idea. President Wong, would you like to go first on your board comments?
I don't have a whole lot of updates other than this weekend on Saturday. Just a reminder that there is a homeless resource fair for folks who may want to share that information, sponsored by the Yolo County Children's Alliance and Yolo County at 500 Jefferson Boulevard. That's it.
Okay, great, thank you. Trustee Alcala, would you like to go next?
Thank you. Just a reminder that April 29th, we will have our Excellence in Education Awards in Woodland. It's a wonderful event, and I believe our color guard's going to be present as well. This is where teachers and employees are recognized for going over and beyond. Well, actually, all our teachers and classified do that, but they are selected by their peers and recognized. So all the different schools in Yolo County are recognizing their employees, and we encourage everyone that can come out to be there. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Kirby-Gonzalez.
Okay, thank you. I do not have any committee updates. I would like to, though, welcome Assistant Superintendent Norma Gonzalez to her first official meeting with us. It's great to have you here and see the chairs filled. So welcome and thank you. I would also like to, I see our principals have stayed, so thank you very, very much for being here with your families. We're so excited to welcome you and promote you within Washington Unified, and so we're very excited for next school year. And I also wanted to say that we had yesterday was our Administrative Professionals Day, and I'd like to thank, no? It was. Oh. No. I'd like to give a very big shout out. Let's all draw our attention to Ruth. Thank you so much for all that you do, and to all of our school sites and the folks that we have really at the front lines doing a lot of hard, very, very important work for our own kids and all of our children here in Washington Unified, and for the staff. They just keep things going. So thank you very much for what you do. And with that, we do have an equity, the CSBA Equity Network meeting. President Wong and I are part of it. It's going to be all day Friday and also all day Saturday as well. So I'm looking forward to that and sharing with you what we talk about.
Great, thank you. Clerk Jackson.
I don't have much, just want to congratulate and welcome all of our newly hired principals. Go Ags. Index. I know the jobs that you guys are taking on. They are very important, as you guys very well know. And I look forward to fostering very successful and productive relationships with you, and so we can help best meet the needs of all of our students in the district.
Okay, I just wanted to let everybody know that I'll be at the Bridgeway Island PTO event on Saturday with Trustee Kirby Gonzalez. I know she'll be going. I'm on daddy duty. You're on daddy duty? No. Let's see, I will be also with President Wong at the 2x2 committee meeting on April 30th. I believe that meeting is here, right, at the city chamber? Okay, thank you. And also to our new principal for Bridgeway Island. You were in San Lorenzo, right? San Lorenzo Unified? So I graduated high school and grew up my life basically in Castro Valley, which is a hop, skip, and a jump. Also in Hayward, I basically was K through 8 in Hayward, and then from 9th through 12th at Castro Valley High, and I absolutely loved it in that part of the Bay Area. So it's nice to see that we can bring you back here. So let's see. I just wanted to make a couple of comments about, there's a lot of cuts that are being made all over the region to school districts, and many of the school districts are in trouble, and I think it's really important that through the leadership of I think, our superintendent, our assistant superintendents, and our board, when we made our cuts, we did not touch our music and VAPA programs. I think that's really important. It's a really critical component of what we show we value as part of our community and who we are. And I think we have such an amazing musical and band program and their booster program here in this community that we don't give them quite enough recognition in terms of, how much they do and what great partners they are. So I wanted to at least do that. And I also really wanted to, let everybody know that the partnership that we have and the priorities that we have largely stem from our leadership down in Superintendent Luna. So we all know how much music and visual and performing arts mean to the students. This is something to me I take very personally, and I really like that we have such a robust program in this district. And again, I just wanted to say congratulations to all the new principals and oh yes, did you want to say that? Did you want to mention the evaluation? Go ahead. Okay, I'll pass off to Trustee Jackson.
Oh, one thing that I did want to omit it in my comment, sorry, and I apologize, was that we will, there's been some questions and concerns about superintendent evaluations, and those, that stuff will be made public, both in writing and available for everyone on the website. I believe it's already on the website, but we'll make it a little more visible so that that information is clearly out there for the public to see.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, other than that, I think that's it. Does anybody else have anything they wanted to add in their board comments?
I can't remember if I did it we did it last time. I wanted to thank Ms. Gregory and the WSTA teachers for bringing the film. Did we do that already? We hadn't. Okay, Trustee Sarah Kirby-Gonzalez and Trustee Wong and I attended. Don Stauffer was there, and it was wonderful to see, the parents that were interested. I think it's really important to bring films such as this and cultural differences, so our students can appreciate, different lifestyles. And I believe it's the first in a series. I'm hoping that next time maybe they can get some extra credit if, they attend. If teachers are open to that, I think it would be actually great if they could get extra credit so we can increase that attendance. But thank you again for doing that. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Superintendent Luna.
Thank you, Vice President Pizzotti and Board of Trustees. I don't have a PowerPoint this evening. I know that everybody was on spring break last week, and I just wanted to give a shout out, though, with most people being on spring break, we had a lot of people working. And I want to give a shout out to our MOT department. I had a great lunch with them last Wednesday, and they are absolutely fabulous employees. And I had lunch with 75 of them. And they were all working hard so that our kids can come back to school and our teaching staff can come back to school on Monday morning ready for SBAC testing. So just a big shout out to MOT department. You guys must have read my update notes, but I feel compelled to say I wanted to welcome Norma Gonzalez, our Assistant Superintendent of HR. I'm so relieved and so happy that she has joined us, and this is her first official board meeting. I just wanted to piggyback on the MOT department preparing all of our schools for SBAC testing. To date, even though we only started on Monday, we have completed 2,812 summative assessments in grades 3 through 8 as of today. So everybody is working hard, and River City High School will be starting their testing either next week or the following week after that. You heard from our student board member, River City High School last night had their big gathering. the campus was packed. They did try to bring back the academic awards night prior to the open house. And while there were lots of seats there because they counted out how many students they wanted to recognize, I think the students just need to know, yeah, you need to be there because your parents wanted to be there to cheer for you. One of the things that stood out to me was that the high school divided up the gym. Had all of us sitting in the bleachers, but they divided the gym into quadrants so that each class was represented. And in the first row of each of their classes was the first row of straight-A students. Oh. And what I loved about seeing that for our freshman class, because you know the freshman year is always a really tough year, there were cheerleaders inside that, that front row, people who were playing sports. So these are kids who are busy, and they are still pulling their grades. So shout out to bringing back those academic awards. Open house, as you heard from our student board member, was a big turnout. And it's always a big turnout when our students are performing. So just a brief shout out for our dance troupe. They are having their dance performances for the end of the year. Unfortunately, at our next board meeting night, however, the next evening on May 10th, they are doing their second performance, so we could probably catch some of that. Thank you, Trustee Alcala, for mentioning Monday evening. Monday evening is an important night because all school districts come together in Yolo County and celebrate specific employees in different positions and recognize them for their hard work of the year. We also have other recognition nights for our employees. So I want to put this on everybody's radar. Monday, May 6th is our Rayleigh Field Employee Recognition Night. And if you haven't bought your tickets yet, you want to make sure you get your tickets. I think they can contact Yorgos for those. We want to get it's a great family night. Even my kids want to come to that, okay? So it's a great night to come out. Also on Tuesday, May 14th, this is our special evening in Washington Unified when we recognize all of our employees and our long-standing employees in 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30-year increments, and also honor our retirees and send them off well and thank them for their years of devotion and service to Washington Unified. So there's lots of things happening, so we want to pay attention to lots of the different dates and celebrations going on. There are many great things happening in Washington Unified. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. As we're winding down to it, we're looking at our future board agenda items, and I can't read. Let's see, so S1 is update on after-school programs, the ACES program specifically. That'll be May 9th, 2019. S2, local control accountability plan, the public hearing, that'll be June 13th, 2019. S3, multi-year projected budget, public hearing, June 13th. S4, local control accountability plan adoption, June 27th, 2019. S5, multi-year projected budget adoption, June 27th, 2019. And S6, board governance session to be determined. Anyway, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Before 9 o'clock, so moved.
Right, amen.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hallelujah. Aye.